So, all right, here we go. With the partners, so I know some of you know some of our preferred partners on this call. Some of you don't. I also know that you are used to being harassed by vendors constantly. I just want to guarantee.
We lost you.
We lost you.
Hey, Andy.
We lost your audio, Andy.
We can send him a chat.
First, so I'll ask Kristin to go first and kick it off. Just kind of the same thing.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Are you going to me? Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second. I'm Kristin Luckman. I'm with Guaranteed Rate. I've been a mortgage lender for 17 years, and I've been with my current company for the last 12. So that's about it.
All right, Hank, go ahead, my friend.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hank with Heartland Home Inspections. I've been doing licensed home inspections in Chicago and suburbs for the past 9 years. I've been involved with real estate for, I might be showing my age, over 20 years. I actually was a realtor and salesperson many years ago, so I understand how hard you guys work and what you go through. So Hank with Heartland Home Inspections.
All right, Shane, take it away.
All right. Hi, Shane Mowery, a real estate attorney. I feel like I've seen your names or worked with you on one side or the other in transactions, at least very, very recently. Practicing city and suburbs, and also saying these words makes me feel really old, but I've been doing this for 20 years. So, yeah.
Got the 2-decade mark on the notch. So now I mean, I understand with like these types of calls, the more I talk, the less people are going to get out of this. So I would love for everybody just to take, not necessarily everybody, Cindy, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, just to take a few minutes and kind of share an update on what you're experiencing in the market. And also too, if you have anything that's been working or not working in the past 3 months, since I believe the kind of pandemic started, I want to say mid-March. I think it was like March 15th. Anything that you've done in the past 3 months that has been working really well. So I'll just open it up, and then people can kind of ask questions, and this is a really organic thing. There's no real script to it. But if there's an awkward pause for 27 seconds, I'll probably call on some people, but generally with realtors we have the opposite problem. So Cindy, take it away.
So pretty much the whole shutdown I've been working. I didn't have my typical 4 or 5 showing requests a day. It was maybe 1 or 2 a day, or 2 every other day. But things continued, especially like the $550,000 price range. Anything under that was moving really quickly. I only have 1 property left. I have a few on the private listing network, but I've pretty much sold everything. So I feel like things have been moving. Even my higher price listings, I've got 2 under contract recently. So I just have 1 townhome left that I think I'm going to get an offer on. So I feel really thankful that, like, talking to my Compass colleagues in New York and California, they were completely shut down and not able to do showings. So I feel like we've been able to move, it's not been normal, but we've been able to progress. kind of with our daily activities, although, you know, of course we have gloves, we have Clorox wipes, we have masks. So that's kind of, you know, not that there hasn't been a big change, but I think I've had like 11 closings, 12 closings maybe since shutdown. So, and then when it was like a little bit slower for a couple of weeks, I've been working on my Compass CRM. So they rolled out some new fancy stuff. So, yeah, so I really have not stopped working much. That's kind of what I've been doing.
Did you change anything, or has it just been more of the same? Like messaging to clients, what you're telling your sellers?
Well, the showings obviously have changed. I am stricter about who comes through the homes. Like I want to make sure that they have a pre-approval and they're serious and they're just not, because my clients don't want to be put at risk if they're just starting their search and they're looky-loos and they're by like 6 months from now. So that I think I will not change. Like it's kind of nice when you're doing showings with people that are really serious. I mean, you could tell right away. As soon as they walk in, you can tell if they're serious buyers or not. And, you know, I have a prepared kind of COVID thing where, you know, please wear masks, please wear gloves, you know, don't touch anything. I'm happy to open. So my sellers turn on all the lights, they open the doors, and then usually I'll turn off the lights with a Clorox wipe. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Like I clean for them and, you know, it's safe and then their lights are off. So where now it's kind of routine that I do that. I'm contemplating open houses again. I see some people are starting to do them. I'm not sure. I have to think about that more. I don't know what you guys are doing, but it might be hard, right? Because they're basically back-to-back showings because we can't have more than one group in at the same time. And we still have to wipe everything down in between groups. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it might be a good way just to get people in and out back-to-back rather than spread out showings. So I'm thinking.
So if you've been busy, do you feel like you have listings still that are sitting there waiting to go at the right time? People are too scared. Do you expect that things will accelerate? Like people will at one point say, okay, now is the time, I'm ready to go? Or has it been the same steady business? For
the private listings?
Yeah.
I want them all to go. Like there's one reason or another, like if we're waiting for a painter, because it's been hard. Yeah. They probably would all be on the market now. I don't think anyone should wait, because if we get another round, then we'll be in big trouble. And then we're going to get into the fall and then you're going to have the elections. So I feel like now's the time.
Okay.
Because everything's moving, like at least on my end. Although I will have to say I have a lot of listings, but I only have like a couple buyers that are just maybe kind of ish thinking about it, like not even really at step one. So the sellers are excited, but at least my buyers are not so interested.
Got it.
But I think that might be opposite for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had heard from a lot of my agent contacts that they had, of course, a month or two ago, business in the pocket waiting for the right time. Buyers didn't want to go out and sellers didn't want people in their homes. I was just waiting to see what that trigger point was where people say, okay, now I'm okay. I was wondering what factors are impacting people saying, okay, I'm done, I'm ready to go now. And if that has changed, if there are still people in the pocket waiting, or if it's now open gates.
Well, it depends. I've found there's a big swing, right? Like there's some agents that have never left their house.
Right.
And then there's some people that are just out like nothing's happening. I'm probably like somewhere in the middle, but I never stopped showing. Like I did not put things on lockbox. I was always there, which is how I show anyway. And I just did it, you know, I've got a really good mask and I just did it safely. And I feel like because of that, I did get, you know, a lot of people weren't showing, and you know, as long as my clients were good, then I was good. And you know, the strategy worked because everything's under contract, almost, except for one. Hopefully that'll be tonight.
Cool.
I think what helped us is the whole time we have been considered essential businesses. So like what Cindi said is that, you know, I kept working. I was going in the office every day. I felt like I was the only one there, which is fine, whatever. I got more done. But in other areas of the country where people couldn't do anything, realtors weren't leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so much of it has been educating people about when to list and what's going on in the marketplace, and then also how we are doing things safely, whether it's masks or gloves or the COVID disclosure that we all seem to be using, and then just telling people, hey, this is what's going on in the market. To me, every week seems to get a little bit better. You know, what helped recently was the ability to show tenant-occupied units with investors that want to sell. But it's just, you know, it goes all the way back to, for those of us that were around in 2008, it is, or just in normal conditions, it's educating people about what's going on. And that, you know, I'll get questions like, is anything selling? Really? And then I'll send them over a list and show them what's going under contract. You're kidding, people are out? Because otherwise it's, you know, the whole spectrum. And it's figuring out where people are, whether it's your buyers, your sellers, or inspectors that you're working with. It's like, where's your level of management of this whole thing? You know, the first time I had buyers in the car since it started, and they both got in the back seat, I'm like, I was a little bit surprised about that. I'm like, wow, I'm an Uber driver now. Which felt kind of weird. I'm like, okay, so you think you're not going to get it back in the front seat or in the back seat, you know? And it was just, it was weird, and, you know, and getting used to showing things with a mask on and all that. I mean, it's been a turbulent few weeks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's, you know, we get through it. I'm with Cindi too. I'm debating about the open house thing. I don't know. You know, yeah, it's a discussion with sellers, and, you know, thinking about what happens if 20 people show up. How are you going to manage that?
I think you have to have a second person. I was thinking, you know, a second person outside that just chats with them and, you know, is more of the facilitator, and then, you know, the agent would be on the inside.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one stumbling block that I have right now is and maybe you guys have run into it, is some buildings allow no showings at all. So, you know, I was down in Streeterville the other day and I made a few appointments, and a handful of buildings are like, nope, no realtors, no showings, nothing. I'm like, interesting.
So far, I haven't come across that, but I have heard there's some in the West Loop and Gold Coast. I don't know if they changed it now that we're in phase 3.
Yeah, I think it's something that happens over time, but we're keeping track of so many things as it is. You know, I don't, like, one example is 530 Lake Shore, you know, and it's like, okay, well, how do I know when I can show it? And then some realtors are aware of it and some are not. So then you go there and you're like, oh, I'm ready for a showing. Nope, the doormen know it, you know, so it's more of a function of having every front desk door station's phone number, like, are you guys allowing showings now or not?
So do you guys think it's a buyer's market right now or a seller's market?
For the most part, I think it's a seller's market.
Yeah.
There's a real lack of choices out there. You know, before COVID had really taken root, and I agree with Andy, it was like mid-March, it was really busy. And I thought, my God, Chicago's finally going to have some respectable appreciation. You know, if you look at our appreciation since the bust, it's been, you know, and of course there's pockets and neighborhoods and property types and all that, but on average, it's been disappointing. You know, I want to go back to 6 to 8% instead of 1 to 2%. And I'm taking some prices up, and even I'm surprised when I'm stretching the limit and then all of a sudden they sell in multiple offers. I'm like, hooray. And so, you know, of course there's exceptions even now with property type, but within certain properties and price ranges and neighborhoods, I mean, it's almost like the boom where I would hit the enter button and I could tilt back in my chair and be like, okay, how soon till I get my first showing request?
Yeah. Shane, one thing I was going to say that I've been using a lot to get the private people into the market is there's a graph from Showing Time. MRED has been releasing like the stats every week, like compared like 2019 to 2020. And Showing Time shows like the big dip in showing requests and then it, you know, going straight up. So the last time I looked, I think this year was even a little bit over last year.
Yeah.
I was looking at it this morning, actually. We're above pre-COVID and well above last year.
Yeah.
As of like yesterday. I think we're like 5% higher. So yeah, and it's increasing like day by day right now.
Probably because people are sitting at home, right? And they're more accessible, like for during the day and during the week showings, I'm getting more of that. The one other thing I don't get about the market is for a lot of us that know people that work in these downtown office buildings, and if you ask them when they're going back downtown and how, and most of the time you're getting like, we still don't know. You know, like I have a lot of friends that work at Chase and they're like, I think that there's 10,000 people or some extraordinary number that work in the building and they have no idea how they're going to manage that.
That'll be interesting.
I think
That real estate market
are not expected until 2021 to go back.
Well, the question is, you know, when you have all those people in a building like that and it hits 5 o'clock and people want to go home, how the hell are you going to manage it in the elevator? You know, even in high rise, I live in a smaller high rise where we can manage 2 people in an elevator, which is fine. But for anyone that's on the Facebook page of Park Place, that's messy over there, you know, with all those people in there and how they're getting in and out of the building. Because there are so many people and 2 people in an elevator, and there's been some serious like nasty debates on the Facebook page about how to get in and out of a big building.
It'll be interesting to see if people leave the city with no balconies. At least with balconies, they have some kind of outdoor space.
Right.
I guess it comes down to the personal choice as usual. Some people, I've had some clients that are in high rises, they're like, as soon as this is minimized, we're out. And I'm like, okay, where are you going? Are you going out to Kentucky or where? And other people are just like, oh, what's the big deal and all that. And I even find my own opinion is changing over time. You know, in the beginning, we were all scared. We hid under the bed. We watched the news. It's like, how many deaths are happening per day? And now I'm flipping to the other side where I'm doing informal surveys about with my friends and clients or whoever. It's like, how many people do you know that have it? And there's just so few. I mean, personally, in my household, we only know one person that has it. And that to me is kind of weird. It's like, you know, I know a lot of people, work with a lot of people, and I keep asking, and I just come up with, oh, well, we only know so-and-so that had it and was in the hospital for 4 days and got out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew too.
Well, you know, but we figure stuff out. Realtors are always pretty good about solutions. And, you know, in the beginning, everyone's doing the 3D and these photos and those photos and everything. And they think it's unique and everything. I'm like, oh, God, we've been doing this forever. So, you know, that was just something that's in our toolbox and maybe enhancing it a little bit better. But we figure it out. And Chicago is a good, strong market. And, you know, like anything else, even back to what I mentioned before, 2008, we're educators. I don't view myself as a salesperson for the most part. I view myself as, okay, this is what's going on in the market. Oh yeah, I just sold one on Gordon. I, put it on, and 2 days later we had 4 offers. What? You're kidding me. I didn't think anything was selling. Or then unemployed people, or somebody said the other day, well, we're in recession. How's that affecting things? I'm like, well, we were in recession since February. Nobody knew it. Nobody knew that it made a big difference. I know a few people who are unemployed, but for the most part, unless you were in, certain professions, everybody was just sitting at home collecting a paycheck and riding out the storm. Now maybe they want bigger places. I'm hearing that more often. Oh, we need to upgrade from a 2-bedroom to something bigger, like a townhouse where I have a more of an office space, because I don't think I'm ever going back to work again. I would not personally want to be selling commercial real estate.
When you were talking about the vacant and people not going back into the office building, yeah, those realtors have got to be hurting.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Or in the Chase, or in the case of Chase, they're redoing an office building, and of course, guess what they were going to do? All open concept. Guess what's out the window now?
Now it's like closed cubicles and jail cells,
Yeah.
What would probably help us is a vaccine. Then maybe things will turn back to normal. But that's a crystal ball moment, and we all just go on and try to manage it in any way possible and play the pluses and minuses. And for people that are freaked out about getting any germ in their house, then it's not time to sell.
Right. It's very personal.
I actually think that's a really good way to describe it. It's personal, and I almost feel like when I'm working with a buyer or seller, I have to say, okay, where are you on this personal spectrum? You're either 10, totally freaked out, and I've got to sanitize myself with a power washer before I come in your place, or you're at 1 where it's business as before, and I've got to figure that out, and then I've got to gauge everybody who comes in the place on that, and the whole shebang. And it's adding some drama to it, but nothing in life these days is smooth, is it?
Are there any, I'm curious, just, and this is for anybody, even I was just, and Kristin too, I'm curious what you're seeing on the lending side.
Our company, obviously we pioneered the digital mortgage several years ago, so I think it's been really business as usual, because I want to say it was October 1st, I had the opportunity to transfer, I guess, ownership of our branch in Naples, Florida to myself under, my leadership. And so I'm living half in Florida, half in Chicago since October. And so I was supposed to come back, I think it was around mid-March when the Compass Summit was supposed to happen, like March 13th. And they canceled it, I think, a couple days before. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm canceling my flight. And I didn't really realize how quickly things were going to escalate. So that said, I still have not returned to Chicago, which personally is very strange for me because I haven't seen my mom, I haven't seen my brother, I haven't seen my nieces, and I'm in, quite frankly, the hottest place on earth right now. It's 100 degrees, but it's not, things with lending haven't necessarily really changed because I'm used to working remote and I'm used to working from home. What is strange is I like going to closings and bringing gift and having that personal touch. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for me because I'm not really seeing my people. I'm not seeing Cindy, I miss you. Yeah. Right? You want to go to coffee and you want to see your people. So I think that's been the biggest adjustment for me is doing Zoom and not loving what I look like at home and stuff like that. So refinance activity is crazy. I'm closing 50 plus loans a month. Most of it is refinancing. It's insane. The 30-year is at 3%. It's just really, really crazy. But I feel so lucky because I'm working and I'm busy and I'm helping people. And what I'm doing every day is I'm putting money back in people's pockets because they really, truly need the savings. So that's kind of just overall, in a nutshell, what's going on in lending. Rates are at the lowest. And I'm working a lot of hours.
Well, You don't feel bad because it's like it almost snowed today. Like it's horrible today. So I'm glad you're there. I'm just kidding. It's really nice today.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, but on the flip side of being here, I am in somewhat of a bubble to some extent. Like the protests that happened in Naples are like at the grocery store, and people aren't throwing bricks through windows and vandalizing businesses. I was supposed to get married July 11th, like literally in 30 days from now. My venue is shut down because they have to repair all of the damage that was done. Obviously the wedding isn't happening right now. But you just pivot and you adjust and you just look at everything that, you have to be thankful for. So, like I'm thankful that my family is healthy. I'm thankful that I'm healthy. I'm thankful for vitamin C gummies, like all these like little things that you just have to, really, try to be positive on. Guaranteed Rate last week turned 20 years old. And as an initiative, we raised $3.4 million for Feeding America within our organization, and wrote a check last Friday at like 3:00. And it's something like crazy, like $10 feeds like, I don't know, like 30 meals. So like, just imagine like $3.4 million, like how many meals we actually, just donated. That's pretty amazing that amidst all of this, we're so focused on the giving and the positivity and, really like what we can do to help others that are really struggling and that are people that are truly experiencing like poverty.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kristin, did I see correctly? Did rates drop and did the 30-year drop into the high twos?
It's like 2.99-ish or so today. I'm not lying. Like it's crazy. I remember when interest rates went to like 5.375 from like 5.875, like this is a long time ago. And I was like, this is the lowest rates are ever going to be. And then, rates go to like 4.25. And I'm like, this is the lowest rates are ever going to be. And now we're seeing 30-year fixed, in the high twos. A 15-year is 2.25 today.
Wow.
I can't even, I just can't even like fathom like how this is even happening. But I mean, it's not I'm not complaining. It's awesome.
What are arms, Kristin?
Arms?
Mm-hmm.
Arms are higher than the fixed rates. They're in the 4s. Yeah, because the banks don't want the risk of the ARM product.
What about jumbo? Are you guys, are things easing up, or is it still pretty tight?
For us, things have eased up a little bit. So it got a little dicey for a while because of problem with liquidity in the market. We have returned to max loan to value of 90%, which other banks are not doing. So like Chase, for example, 20% down, minimum 700 FICO score for a jumbo. Bank of America, minimum 30% down. We're at 10% down on a jumbo, no PMI. So, is it easy to get a jumbo? I would say not really, but it's never been easy. It's reserved for like very specific, borrower. I do a lot of jumbo financing. I work with a lot of high end, borrowers, but they're like they're buying for their first time, and they need hand holding throughout the process. So, it's been interesting just to see kind of what's happening, but we're really, we do not have a liquidity problem. Obviously, if we've, just donated $3 million to charity, and we're still lending, and it's business as usual, and we're setting records, and it's a really exciting time. Like I don't know, I feel extremely fortunate and happy despite everything going on in the world. I feel extremely lucky right now.
Thanks for the update. Becky, too, I know you just hopped on. I just want to give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself. We just 15 seconds, and then if you want to chime in on anything, but I know, dealing with fun and family and, logistics. So go ahead.
Yeah, thanks guys. Becky Sexson with Burton Warner. I've been in the industry for about 4 years now, so sorry I was a little late. I was on baby duty. So, but yeah, I was listening for the audio for a little bit of it, so got kind of the gist of what everything was going on. But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. I'm curious too, and is there any just strategies, any like things specific maybe? I guess it doesn't even really have to be COVID related, but maybe it could be summer related. It can be. Is there anything that's just anybody's had success with? Like, I'm curious, what are people doing to maybe, I mean, most of you guys have your systems in place for prospecting, but I was just curious maybe like if that's changed from March to now, just to kind of keep the pipeline full. I mean, I'll just kind of open that up.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one for a second. I've been doing some webinars for first-time homebuyers. I don't know if most of you real estate agents, it sounds like most of you guys work on the sell side and have a lot of listings. Most of my business comes from buyers. So hosting open houses was a big prospecting tool that I used to use, but obviously now, just given the changes with that, kind of had to adjust. And I was, prior to this, doing a lot of not webinars, but lunch and learns at companies. And again, something that we can't really do right now. So early on, I shifted to doing webinars, and I'm on my third webinar now, hosting next week, and have had actually a lot of good luck with them. And not only just getting new people, but also just following up with, it gives me an excuse to follow up with people that maybe I had met at previous open houses, or had met at previous lunch and learns, or friends, family members that I know are renting. So that's been something that's been super successful. And I think if we weren't in this situation, I probably would not have been doing. So if anybody has interest in doing any of those, I'm happy to kind of talk offline about what I found has been helpful and successful. So feel free to reach out about that.
How did you get people to attend?
Yeah. The first one was kind of trial and error, but I did a lot of social media, paid boost ads and stuff like that, but I honestly didn't get that much success from it. Maybe I probably spent $300 or $400 on it. And maybe that wasn't enough. I'm not sure, but I found the most success just reaching out to people at companies and asking them to share it with their colleagues. I have a friend at Salesforce that shared with her company, a friend at Google, McDonald's, like some of those larger companies, and just sending out I don't know how their companies are structured, but sending out an email or posting on some sort of intranet. That was how I found the most successful. And reaching out, after the first one, we asked people that attended to then share it with their friends. So kind of just the spider web of hopefully if they found it helpful, that they would share it with their friends and colleagues.
So did you record it and then put it on YouTube or something, or it was just strictly live?
Yeah, I just did it live. I do have it recorded, but I haven't done anything with the recording yet. Just not sure if I want to necessarily put that out, because I want, obviously some of the goal is to educate, obviously, but then also to, get people's information and be able to follow up with them. So I feel like potentially just putting the whole thing out there people might not check out. So yeah, I haven't done much with the recording yet, but something that further maybe down the line I could potentially use as a YouTube video or something.
Becky, did you do in person or like live home buying seminars prior? You said at the companies you used to do it?
Yeah, I've done them at a few companies with a lender. So we had our presentation already ready to go from those lunch and learns, and then obviously just kind of shifted towards the digital platform. And there are a bunch of webinar companies Zoom, I'm sure I think you can use it. I actually signed up for GoToWebinar, but there's a bunch of different platforms. You can just share your PowerPoint and do it that way. But yeah, we already had the presentation pretty much set and ready to go.
Which one do you like better, in person or webinar?
I would prefer in person, because I feel like you get, more of that one-to-one connection, and I don't know, but right now, I feel like we've been having really good success, and probably about the same, if not more, people show up to the webinar than to the in-person one. And I think you can, given that the in-person one, you're going to one company, this you can branch out to 5 or 6 different companies and hit them all at the same time. So it has the potential, I think, of being a better use of your time. But I like going in person and kind of making that more face-to-face real connection.
Makes sense.
That's cool. It's funny how, like, I don't know. For me, it's like I'm blessed to work with people like you, because realtors naturally are problem solvers. And so it's, hey, how do we get from A to Z? Well, we can't do it this way. We can't go through the front door. So let's, drop a grappling hook and kick a window down and we'll figure it out, So it's just kind of cool to hear what everybody's doing. Luke, man, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What have you been implementing, or even what's not working? Maybe what's something you tried that's like, that was a bust. I was just curious, man.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a different business. Most of my business is multifamily, so 2 to 4 flats or 5 plus. So it got real quiet. Well, we stayed busy, but it got hard to show towards the beginning of this whole thing. We couldn't get access to properties. A lot of our buyers, we just kind of had to put them on pause for a little bit, on the sell side too. But it's been really strong. The last couple of weeks has been good because we've been able to show again. But overall, we're doing more of the same. Like, I'm just calling people, checking in with buyers, talking to sellers, like using this whole crisis as kind of a reason to connect with people. And I feel like it's been good. I mean, I'm as busy as ever, like most of you. I came into the office every single day since we started. And my business is a little unique. I have a construction company too, so we've been rehabbing the entire time as well. But yeah, the market feels really sound. We're mostly Northwest side, like Logan Square, Avondale, Woodford Park, Bucktown. Tenants are all paying their rent, which is great. And so yeah, we've just been using COVID as a reason to reach out to people, talk to them, engage them. I've done more direct mail over the last month than we've done before. Stuff about this ADU ordinance, this accessory dwelling unit ordinance that's hopefully going to be passed shortly, which would allow people to add an additional unit to their home. So a lot of direct mail about that, oriented around that. And then just normal direct mail, soliciting interest for people that want to sell. But yeah, overall good, busy. Everyone seems positive. The market seems really stable, and I'm seeing the same things the rest of you guys are.
Luke, what about, what are you seeing with construction costs?
I mean, the trend for the last 5 years has been terrible. We've been shooting straight north. Everything's getting expensive. Finding trades is getting really difficult. Certain trades like framers, carpenters, trim carpenters is really getting hard to do. So we thought when this whole crisis happened, that there would be some downward pressure on construction pricing. I think still to be determined. The bigger GCs, I think, are the ones who are going to really see stuff slow down, like your Powers and these bigger construction companies. You're not going to get financing for these big starts. So, anything they're currently building, they're going to continue to build, but then hopefully, maybe with 6 to 12 months of time, there's some downward pressure on construction pricing, because yeah, it's really difficult to do anything competitively right now.
Have you noticed, Luke, more landlords wanting to sell like multi-unit buildings, maybe just because, if the potential for people to lose their jobs and not paying rent and now having to pay the cost of holding, a building? Notice anything change with that?
Yeah, that was like our initial impression when all this first happened was, okay, anyone who owns a building cash, the combined pressure of rising real estate taxes combined now with tenants not paying rent and stays for evictions, not being able to move anybody out of a unit is going to be enough to make anyone sell if they're in a position to do so. But what are we, 3 months into this? Most people are paying their rent, mostly because of the quick action of the government to subsidize people's incomes with $600 a week in additional money. So, I don't know. We haven't seen a ton of it. I thought we would get more. I thought we would get more of those phone calls from people who said, I've been getting your letter for years. It's time. And we're not really seeing it. I think people are just kind of holding tight, and they don't want to sell in a market where people think that there's opportunity coming. There's so many investors that have been sitting on the sidelines for years saying, we're just stockpiling cash for the next bust. Like, everyone thinks 2008 was going to happen again, right? And here comes COVID. This is that once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, my phone's ringing off the hook. People saying, okay, let's go deal hunting. Like, let's go, find something. And it's just not there. Like, it's still a seller's market. The pricing is holding firm. Financing is great. So, that panic moment that everyone thought was coming, it's just not going to materialize. I think the market's going to stay relatively stable.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed that's been kind of a challenge, especially at the start of this, was a lot of buyers thought there was opportunity for a deal, and it just was not at all the case, at least in the areas and the type of buyers that I work with. There was just a challenge of miscommunication of everybody thinking it was going to be 08 again, and there were going to be all these foreclosures and short sales. And so, but yeah, thank you for that. That's definitely helpful.
Buyers' deals are in the interest rates that they're getting right now.
Yeah.
Hank, what are you seeing on, your business, you got to be extremely hands-on. I'm curious what's your on your end and on the home inspection side.
Yeah, we're, obviously March, I took a hit, pretty bad. April was almost flat. I couldn't believe it. In May, I was up 50%, and I'm already hit my goal for June for this month, and I'm only halfway through the month. It's been crazy. I'm in a group out of California of investors, do home inspections. I haven't heard from anybody all year, and I got 6 investors that have called me for inspections on multi-unit buildings just in the last month. We did just did a 39-unit building 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And they're all taking advantage of these interest rates. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I think that there's pent-up demand, where we would have had a normal spring market in March and April, that's being pushed back later. And to me, and then compounded with the fact that probably people are not going on vacations, right? We had our vacation canceled, so everyone's been sitting at home and thinking about, is their space big enough or not? And, I'm kind of thinking that we'll be busy now through probably September. And then if it's like 2016, they'll be focused on the election. But I think the summer will be busier than normal. Usually August can be a little bit slow with summer vacations, right? And so maybe people will go to Michigan or something like that, but they're not going as far as they would have normally.
No, I think the pent-up part, you're absolutely right. We're going to get the summer, March, April, like we normally get.
Well, and then this rate thing, I knew they were going down. I've seen some posts, but I just refinanced 4 months ago at 3.125. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to do it again. And I get the comment about the 5% or whatever, but I'm going to date myself a little bit. But one loan I had was at 10.5. And I remember saying to the broker at that time, wow, that's a great rate. Now I'm at 3.125. I wanted to kiss my broker when we got that all done. And I feel like, Jesus, there's hardly any interest on that statement. I feel like it's free. They're almost going to start to pay me to take out a mortgage.
It's funny I say it because, this ain't real estate, but I bought a new car a few months ago. We were in the finance office, and the guy had a sign up there from the 80s, Ford financing low 14.99%.
Yeah.
On a car. And he's like, that was a great rate back then when you were buying. It's like the same thing. 10% was great back then.
All this stuff almost makes a person want to, not that I need a new car, I never do. And I just seem to find a reason to buy one every 2 years. And it almost made me want to run out and buy one just because, and I said it to my husband, I'm like, well, I'm thinking about blah, blah, blah. We just got it 2 years ago. Yeah, but they're probably really hurting for business. I want to help promote them. Like, okay, that's a crazy sort of response.
That's great. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Shane, what are you seeing attorney side? Like what maybe systems that in place that you've seen change over the last 3 months? You mind speaking to that?
Yeah, I mean, in general, my job has not really changed. The structure and the way that we get closings done now, obviously, is a little bit different, as I'm sure everybody's experienced. So there's a new dynamic, but I mean, I've also been pretty busy. In fact, I feel like I never let up. It seemed crazy for a long time, although I can say jokingly that there was a little stretch where I feel like people were sitting at home and thinking too much. So I was getting all sorts of random craziness happening, as in random emails, random thoughts throughout the night. I remember waking up and seeing an email where someone was saying, I need to understand why I can't have chickens at my condo. And I was just like, okay, like that's the way I'm starting my day. And I feel like we've come out of that rut of craziness and it's a little bit back to normal, but the dynamic right now seems to be what happens next with closings in general, in the sense that title companies are easing up the restrictions on what we do and what we can do. But of course, there's a push of, okay, well, is the good thing that came out of this a new way that we actually get closings done? Is the remote type attorney now the new norm? Is that something that agents want to be put in play? Does that impact the closing? Is that better? Is it worse? I was on a call with both Chicago Title and Proper Title actually yesterday. Both of them have completely different outlooks on the way closings will happen and what they want to have happen moving forward. And then also same day was on an email chain with about a dozen attorneys where 11 out of 12 said they wanted the remote closing style to be the new norm, where attorneys do not go. There was only one holdout who said he still liked to go and wanted to go. So it's now the breakthrough. I feel like now is the time to seize the opportunity if that's what's going to happen, but obviously that changes the entire structure and dynamic on what happens on closing day. So that seems to be the question right now. And I guess, speaking of, since there's a panel of agents here, do you hate the idea of attorneys not sitting at a closing table, or do you feel like it's absolutely necessary that an attorney is sitting within 1 foot to point at words at a closing? Like what is necessary and what's not?
Well, I don't know if I have an opinion necessarily about attorneys being there or not, but I personally kind of miss going to closings because I feel like it's ties a bow at the end of the deal, and you're able to, you're sitting at a table with your clients for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and you're really able to connect with them. And real estate's a relationship business, so I kind of miss it a little bit. I don't know if I necessarily have an opinion about you guys having to be there, but I feel like it is a really exciting time and it's an important time in people's lives. And I feel like it does give maybe a buyer a better sense of security when they're signing all these legal documents to officially own a home, to have someone physically be there to walk them through it. But I don't know if I can say one way or another at this point.
Yeah, that's been a lot of the commentary too, is that what's happening now has removed a lot of the excitement and the fun and the celebration and the pomp and circumstance that happens with the closing, which obviously makes a lot of sense. And that's a lot of connection time too. Especially for an attorney, that's where I see people, I talk to people, I show what I do and how I do it. So it's definitely my time, but it becomes a weighing factor of those, again, 12 attorneys, all 11 all said that as the attorney, we are 20 times more productive sitting behind our desk during the day. When we go to a closing, that's 3 to 4 hours pulled from our day, where you want us to also be wrapping up attorney review right away. Like, why aren't we done yet? Why aren't we done yet? So for me, I know at the end of the month, I had 6 back-to-back buyer closings on the last day of the month in May. There is no physical way that I would have done 6 back-to-back buys if I had to physically bounce around to title companies that day. But I did 6 back-to-back closings, no problem, slam dunks, had all my email cut up, deadlines out, all before 5 o'clock that day. So it is a trade-off, and that's what we're trying to figure out now on what's good, what's going to work, what's not going to work. And I think our holdout right now is that, of course, we're going to have that handful of attorneys who say that they are going to go, and then that's going to make the rest of us look like we're not doing our jobs if we don't go. So,
well, here's my 2 cents. I thought about this a lot. It's never, I love the celebration. I go to the closes. It's a big thing. You know, I try to make a big deal out of it. Of course, it's a pain in the ass to go downtown and to deal with traffic and to pay whatever it is for parking. I really like the closes. We've been doing more of this in my office lately. The closes that are convenient, you know, it's usually the buyer. This is about the buyer, right? It should be somewhere that it's close. If you're buying in Lakeview and the buyer lives in Lakeview, let's do it at somebody's office where we can still get together and it's informal and things can be hashed out and it's just a little bit more convenient. Maybe there's a hybrid of all of this, right? You know, going downtown is just always like, oh God.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I've also heard from a lot of realtors who have said it's maybe have saved them from feeling like they had to go to the office and sit there for 2 hours, and have instead said, oh, I'll meet you at the property after closing with a champagne bottle and I'll take a picture of you in front of your new house with your keys. So it's, I think, segued into also allowing you to be productive with that 2 hours of time and then catching up afterwards to do, you know, the celebration part of it.
That's what I did with the last one. I put a bottle of champagne in their new refrigerator, and when we were doing the walkthrough, I'm like, see, you're all set, keys are in the lockbox, and call me. I mean, it's just, everybody has their own opinion. I can see where it's made it streamlined in a good way. Yeah, I don't want to sit there for 2 hours or whatever. But I also feel like part of it's my responsibility. I call myself the swingman to iron out any problems. Can I do that over the phone? Sure. But I view it as a longer term relationship.
Right.
So basically, it's just the buyer and seller showing up at the closing, and that's it? No?
The sellers and sellers' attorneys are supposed to not be there, since it's really possible easily for them not to go. Buyers are going, and then buyers' attorneys are right now kind of on the sidelines, remote, by phone, by Zoom, or whatever the client wants to do. And then as of yesterday, from both those title company phone calls, I was told that the agents are allowed to go if they want to go, although some of them are still putting signs on the door saying, if you're not here to sign documents, then we prefer that you not enter the building. So,
have you seen other lenders start to do what Guaranteed Rate has done with the flash close? So what flash close is, obviously the buyer is signing about 80% of their documents in advance of the closing digitally, and they're able to review the whole package with their attorney and spouse online, and then they're only signing like the remaining 20% at the closing. So on average, I would say my closings are taking like 15 minutes. Are other lenders doing that as well? Have you noticed? No?
I haven't seen a single lender so far catch up to that. And that's been around for like a year or two, hasn't it?
Yeah, we started flash close about a year ago. So it was pre-COVID. I was on the pilot test program, like one of the first people who started to use it, and my clients all loved it because they could see everything in advance, and there's full transparency before they get to the closing table. And attorneys, have been obviously giving great feedback. So I was kind of wondering if anybody's caught up to us, and I figured the answer was no, but
so far,
I love being ahead of the curve.
So far, nobody's figured it out. Yep. Yeah, that part would definitely simplify the process across the board. I mean, obviously, G-Rate is in the lead for that. But yeah, having to condense and simplify would make the day a lot easier and faster for sure.
And in case everybody's wondering, this is water. I promise it's water.
Not judging.
What's that?
I said not judging if it's not.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe in 20 minutes it won't be, but well, I mean, it's 5 o'clock. I want to respect everybody's time. So, I mean, if anybody else has any final thoughts or just somebody that's, we're all connected now. So if anybody has any like direct questions for anybody else, you guys are for the most part, different companies, different fields. A lot of you work in a different part of town. So, I mean, does anybody have any questions just for anybody else?
I got a quick question. Do you guys think it's going to stay this busy throughout the end of the year?
I hope.
I know you guys study a lot of trends and see that, so there's trends showing that it's going to be like this, or?
I think if interest rates continue to stay super low, it could be. But I don't know.
I think we have 2 or 3 months, personally. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's going to slow down. I mean, for the past, 3 or 4 years, the fall has been really slow. So maybe we're pushed a little bit into the fall, but I'm thinking October, November, it's going to be really slow. Hopefully we'll have a good September.
I think it's going to get busier because I think a lot of the trends and like analysts are saying is that during the shelter in place and the time when people have been forced to kind of be at home, they're evaluating if they want to be in their home or if they want to move. And so I think a lot of people are going to be making those decisions, and it's going to stay busy even through the fall. But that's just my opinion.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right.
I do too.
My December is always busy. My November, December, end of November, December. So that's when my market starts again. So yeah, maybe it is the whole year, Kristin.
I hope so.
If it depends on lending, I mean, if it's not busy, it's obviously Kristin's fault that it's not. So.
Right.
Under the bus. I'm just kidding. I'm actually kind of curious, Luke. Hey, would you mind going through? You said you've been doing a lot of direct mail. Like, do you mind kind of elaborating on that? I mean, or is there a targeted message that's COVID related, or I just curious, and then we can kind of wrap up with that. Do you mind touching on that?
I mean, the most recent one we sent out, I think I mentioned, was in regards to the ADU ordinance, where people are going to be able to add an additional unit to their house as long as they live within an R district. Even if you have a single family home built before 2000, you can add a unit. So that was like trying to convey some kind of excitement over something new that's coming. This isn't a thing yet. It's been introduced to city council, but it should be. It sounds like it's well on the path to being a thing. So we're just trying to engage in different things. No, but it's just general direct mail, nothing super exciting or different. Just letting people know we're here. We target mostly multifamily housing on the northwest side. And yeah, I would say the phone's been ringing more off of direct mail than typical, probably because people are home and they're actually looking at it and they're actually thinking about it. So, maybe this was a good time to be sending those.
No,
I have a flat on a private listing network. I'll send you the information.
Great, we'll take it.
Northwest side.
Well, I will, we can kind of conclude with that. I will wrap up with this one thing that I am super pumped about. I'm going to screen share real quick, is we finally, if I can figure out how to do this, as I fumble through, we're launching a Real Producers app. All of our partners know this. At least they should. Check this out. So this is the challenge with us is just uploading all the back issues and getting the partner's profile to sync with everything. So we're in the process. So I was pitched on this, last year. I loved the idea, but I'm like, I don't have time to spearhead this project. But as I've been home more on the computer and our staff's been back and forth, we should, God willing, launch this before 4th of July. So we're excited. So everything will be digital. It's not replacing what we're doing. The realtors love the hard copy, it's just, it's touchy feely, but it's just going to be an addition to the platform. So no extra charge. It'll be free, but all the realtors will have access to it. Platform's still going to be the same. We're still going to, feature the top 500 agents. Invite those agents to the events, and then those are the agents who are going to be, with most of the features. But it was kind of a cool way to just sort of have everybody be connected to it. So that is on the horizon in the next 3 weeks. So we're excited about it, because it was definitely a project for us to take, because there's a lot of back data. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's time. I'll forward everybody's email to everybody else. And if you are interested in getting on another one of these, we've been having really good feedback. Now that you know what it is, people can be a little bit more intentional about it. But, I just like the organic conversation. So obviously we will do a different group. We won't have the same agents with the same agents. But if you're interested in getting on another one, just shoot me an email and we'll get you set up. Cool.
Cool. Well, thank you for putting it together. You have a lot of emails to get to. 106 emails? Jesus.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything incriminating on my tabs? I'm like, nah.
Well, I'm not going to mention the other thing, but
some of them post Zoom attendee. I was like, I don't think I have anything incriminating on my background, but who knows? I'm sure Mark will point it out if I do. So thank you, my friend. Happy Friday, everyone. I'll send everybody's info, and have a great weekend.
all right.
Bye, everyone. Bye.